today I'm joined by Robin H. Clare, a best-selling author and the visionary behind the Harmony Method, a transformative pathway that helps us align our inner truth with the life we build on the outside. Robin's work blends profound spiritual insight with grounded real-world guidance, inviting us to step out of the cycle of striving and step into a life that feels aligned, authentic, and deeply intentional. This conversation is all about uncovering how inner peace can become the engine for outer purpose. So let's step into that frequency together. So, welcome, Robin. It's a pleasure to
Thank
have you on my show.
Oh, you're welcome, Archita. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad to host you. So, Robin, when you speak about harmony, you describe it as the meeting point of inner truth and outer life. In your experience, what disrupts that alignment for most people?
What disrupts it? Is that
That
what?
alignment for most people. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say what disrupts it is not staying focused on their own inner alignment and holding their own boundaries. In fact, I was reading an article about Steve Jobs. He was the founder of Apple. And he no he even if he had to be mean, he stayed connected to his own boundaries and his own purpose. And I think that that's what we do. We get disrupted because I believe that we all have a purpose. And it could look like business, right? It could look like a healer. It could look like a mother. It could look like a father. But we come here with a purpose because sometimes, as a mother and a father, we come here because the children that we're having have a greater purpose, soul purpose, and they need us as parents to guide them to and to educate them. So sometimes when I would have clients who are stay-at-home moms, they'd be like, "Well, I don't have a purpose." I'm like, "Oh, you sure do. You may not you can't even see it, but your purpose is your children, right? And to make sure that they're well educated because they chose you as as their parents, right? As your mom, so that you could get them to a place as an adult where their sole purpose um, could be fulfilled." So, this a little aside there, but to really answer your question, I believe, it's if we go over the steps to harmony, I think you'll see where people can fall off that path. Would you like to do that? Yeah, okay. So the
Yeah.
first one is awareness, right? Awareness that so that you're quiet enough inside of yourself so that you can see what is your soul is asking you to do or what's required of your life. And sometimes we're just so busy doing what everybody else wants us to do that we're not listening to our own inner world. So that's the first place that's the first thing that has to happen and probably the first place of derailment. So this awareness and then commitment is maybe the second one because commitment is when you say, wow, I need to do that. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that. And so for me, I'll just use the example of my book. I became aware that I needed to write this book and and I knew that it was a soul. It was coming from my soul, right? It wasn't just, "Oh, that's an interesting book topic. I'll think about writing that." No, this came to me from a divine message and it was part of my soul. And then commitment was I decided that every day I would write for an hour. Even if I got to my computer and all I wrote was the chapter title, it didn't matter. It was the commitment to do what it I said I was gonna do, which was to finish this book. It took me a year, that 1 hour a day, but that's okay, right? I'm here now talking about it, and then mastery is when you're taking what you know you're supposed to do and you're committed to it, and then you start to embody those teachings where people were saying to me, "Geez, when I grow up, Robin, I wanna be as peaceful as you." Well, that's because I started to embody the harmony, right? Like, because I started to embody the teachings. And then the next is service. And that is when you start to say, geez, I want to share that with others, right? I want to share it. So here I am talking about it. And then leadership is what I found interesting in understanding this concept of harmony is that leadership is first self-leadership. Like, are you actually the living embodiment? Are you walking the walk of this, right? Are you am I if you look at me, do you see someone who is calm and peaceful and has this inner world that's aligned with her outer purpose? Like, are you seeing that? Am I in self leadership? And then that naturally turns to outer leadership because people want to know more, right? And then the last one is freedom. And so I think we have way different ideas of what freedom is, but the freedom is actually the alignment of your inner world with that you're going to project that on the outer world, right? You're gonna take what you've learned and it's gonna be integrated with your purpose. So that's the freedom. There's no more striving, because I think not being in freedom, we're always feeling like we're striving, right? What am I doing? Is this the right thing? I don't know. What do I need? Do I know enough? Am I good enough? Did my parents say I'll never be able to do that? Why, all of those things, all the things. The society think that what I'm doing is kind of too woo woo and maybe I should stop, right? And so that's the freedom, is when you say, I'm going to take what's in here in my inner world and put it out there in the world. All of that combined all of that combined is the state of harmony. So the harmony is the frequency of all of that inner world things and your outer world intersecting and becoming the frequency of who you are, because you're doing what you came here to do. And I'm really want to be clear that it doesn't necessarily mean spiritual. Right? If you're an artist and you're really committed to your craft and you're living your art and you're embodying it and you're sharing it with others, that's a beautiful thing. If you're into politics and you know what your stance is and you're embodying that and you're talking it and you're walking it, that's harmony, right? It's what you know to be true for your life internally and you're living it externally.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with everything that you have said, starting from that everyone has a purpose in life, firstly. And
Mhm.
second, it's very important to establish boundaries. And it might be difficult with people who are, people pleasers, but it's very
Yeah.
difficult for everyone. And,
Yeah.
most people expect transformation to be loud or dramatic, but your
Oh.
approach feels compassionate and far more sustainable. Thank you
I
for
I
sharing
think
that.
so too. I will say
Yeah,
this,
that
Archita, there were moments on my journey, when I first started because I came out of corporate America, right? I came out of the corporate world and I went on what I called like a spiritual fast track, and then there was a lot of healing, like a lot of like on the ground crying, right? Like there was a lot of clearing I had to do because of the life that I had led. And so transformation, I think at times can be challenging, and at other times it can be simpler, right? As long as we're paying attention to what's happening and really looking for the synchronistic signs that help us along the way. The synchronicity to me is coincidences orchestrated by the universe, right? And that we could have a whole 'nother conversation on synchronicity. But those things, like I had to call 911 the other day for a loved one. And for some reason, I asked the 911 operator, "What is your name?" And he said, "My name is Camber, Kamber. That's my family name." Like, so I felt like it's not a normal name, right? It's not like something like Smith or Jones or Desai even, right? It's not like a name that everybody has. And I said, "Can you spell that?" And he's like, Kamber. I knew my ancestors were there with me, giving me support while I went through this was a transformation, right? It wasn't a pleasant one, and it was a hard one, but I immediately calmed down because I knew that my ancestors had figured out how to let me know that they were right there with me during this crisis. Yeah.
Definitely. It's very fascinating how the universe works so mysteriously, but it
Yes.
just feels like it's we are all a part of a big puzzle, and it all comes together eventually.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that brings me, yeah, that brings me to the question that your harmony method encourages moving from stress and striving into ease. Why do you think striving has become such a normalized identity for people today?
A lot of pressure on folks today, and there's so many, ways that we get pressure. It's not just from work, it's from society, right? We're so this world where we have access to information 24/7, I think creates an incredible amount of stress in people's lives and makes them feel even maybe less um, less powerful and less successful because people are putting out information, and then it's not even half the time real people, it's AI, right? And so you're comparing yourself to an to AI person, like, that's impossible, right? If you and so that creates, I think, even more striving, and more stress for people. But honestly, if people can come down to what am I here to do? And one of the things I meant to say earlier, and I'm going to say it now, is that purpose changes and shifts over time. So if you feel like you thought you knew your purpose 10 years ago and you didn't do it, so, you're a loser and you can't do it. Mm-mm. Your soul is like, "Ooh, are you ready now? Cool. Let's do it now, right? Let's do it now." And it may, because of everything that you learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly over the last 10 years, will your soul will say, well, let's do it differently. There's something else we can do now. Whatever, we're all here to move humankind forward in our evolution. And some people, some people come with they choose a lifetime that's harder, um, but ultimately, you can still learn from the hard things. Like, when hard things happen in my life, I'm like, "What is the meaning of that?" Not, "Why did that happen to me?" But, "What is the meaning of that?" It's a whole different question, don't you think? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so if you could say, "Why what is the meaning? What am I supposed to learn? Um, and what information am I supposed to take from that?" Then you start when you start thinking like that, then the universe starts really talking back to you. Right? And gives you data and gives you opportunities, and you meet people, or you happen to listen to this podcast and say, "Wow, is that why I met so and so last week? Is that person?" I always feel like we have a soul family, and we meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Right? And a reason could just be I could meet you and, uh, and even in the supermarket, and I let you go before me. You're feeling like nobody ever does anything for me, and I say to you, "Would you like to go ahead of me?" And that is what you probably needed, right, at that moment. And then there's a season, and then there's a season. There's people that you were such good friends with, or lovers or something, or even your grandparents who die, while you're still young. They were here to help you, and then, of course, there's the lifetime, the people that maybe your siblings or your partner, right, who you're gonna see through this lifetime, your children, right, your friends, really good friends, right? So, I do believe a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I love that expression because it helps you to understand when people who you thought you were so close to, go away. And you're just like, "Well, thank you for how what you taught me, and thank you for the lessons, and I bless you," and off you go, and then sometimes they come back and you're like, "Oh, they're back. Yay." Because there's something that wasn't quite resolved in the relationship that needs to be resolved so that you or them, that person, can move forward on their soul path. Yeah.
I love that. The feel that you just quoted. We meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I love that, and it really
Yeah.
helps us see life from a very different perspective. And also, like you said, that indeed the world is moving at such a fast pace, and we are all competing with literally robots. So it is very difficult to take a pause and look around ourselves. So
Yeah.
yes, that is why people are I think striving has become such a normal identity for people nowadays.
Oh, yes. Yes, and
But
things cost so much money now, like, so it feels like we don't quite get a break, right?
yeah,
Like, from everything, all the pressure, and I just always wonder, though, I wonder if it was, like, the same in every generation, right? We just have what we know in this lifetime here, but, when there wasn't technology, was it stressful, right? When there wasn't water and electricity in the house, was that stressful, right? Like, I when we didn't have the, whatever medicine and technology, like, uh, maybe that was even more stressful. We really don't know, right? Because 'Cause we're here now, and if we think about it, that every generation has its own stress and own striving based upon, what is happening in the world at that time. Like, I didn't live in World War II, but I bet that was a very difficult time, right? Um, and I didn't live, I maybe I lived, I don't know. I'm not sure. But we just have to say, "I'm here now, and I know I'm a soul being having a human being experience. So how can I fulfill my soul's destiny in this lifetime?" And I've also now I've started to think about I think I can help people more with that. So if on my website on, robinhclaire.com. I have some mini sessions and some bigger sessions, so to meet people where they are, and I also have a lot of free information that people can begin to read and say, "Oh, yeah, that will help me." So that's what I'm trying to do is to really help people to live in harmony, which is just it makes everything easier when you're not when you don't get triggered all the time.
well, I
That
please go
Yeah,
ahead.
please, go ahead. No, you go. What were you gonna say?
Okay, so I was just saying that, well, I think what you are doing, it's just great, bringing harmony into people's life. That's a really amazing thing to do. And yeah, so moving on, Robin, you often talk about inspiration evolving into purposeful action. How does someone know if their inspiration is genuine or simply the product of external pressure?
Ah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna share something from one of my, she's my spiritual bestie, and her name is Colleen Morgan, and one of the things that she teaches is that it you know that something is truly on your path or really if it matters to you, right? Because what happens is, what if for something that truly matters to us, and if we have the capacity to do it, like if we take out all that noise, right, and we get rid of the reasons why we can't do something and make room for why we can, and it really matters to us, then we become like magnified for that which really matters to us to come to us and turn into matter, right? To physically belong to us. So how do we know? How do we know it really matters? When I've thought about it, it's almost like a physical reaction. And you can tell me if this is true for you too. It's like when something really matters to me, I feel it. It's almost like, oh, that really matters to me. And so it really matters to me. So cut it out, or it really matters to me. I'm going to do it. Right? It's a physical thing. It's not like something where you're saying, "Oh, I'm waiting for my spirit guide to tell me what to do." This is when when it matters to you. I happen to be able to hear that, but that's just a gift that I have. But I also really follow what is important to me. What's and my soul is here in my where is your soul right now? It's in your physical body. Right? And it's around you. There's a field of your soul around you because it's too big to be in your just in your body, right? So it's in your body and it's around your body, but that soul that's in your body is saying, "Yes, that's matters to that's it." And I just know I just you we all know this. There is not one person that's not that is listening to this that hasn't experienced when something really matters to them, and no matter what, right? They're going to do it. Right? And that's where we have to be able to really understand what's going on in our body, because our body is what's going to make the commitment. Our body's going to help with the commitment. It's going to help with the mastery. It's going to help us serve. It's going to help us lead, right? It's going to bring us to a state of freedom because our body is the vessel for all of this, right? And so when we feel it in our body, in our bones, that something is correct or wrong or the next step, we have to honor that. And I think that's what people have to learn to do is to honor what they're because we think of our body as just this thing that is taking us from one task to the next, right? Or we're using it just for pleasure, or it's filled with pain. But it's actually it's a vessel of our soul. And so when our vessel is saying yes or no, right, we have to learn to feel what our body is feeling. And so her work is all body based. Where in the past, if you remember over the years that you've probably been doing this, everybody was talking about the law of attraction. It was like this codependent relationship with the spirit world, right? If I don't get something, it's because spirit's thinking it's not time. If I do get something, it's because spirit said, "Yes, you're a good person. Here it is." It isn't that at all. It's, are you ready to hold what is next for you? And uh, even after I wrote the book, I always think, do I share this? I wrote this book. I published it. Let's go back. I don't think we can see it. Oh, there it is. I wasn't sure I really understood it. And it took me a while to say, "I really understand this book." Like, I c it w and then once I understood it, I think it was nerves, right? Nerves in my body. I didn't quite feel like I could hold it because it's a lot of energy. But I was like, "I don't get this. If I don't get it, who's gonna listen to me?" Right? But it took me like a month to really sit there meditating for a month, when I could meditate and just say, "Help me understand the simplest." It wasn't that I didn't understand it per se, let me change that. I didn't know how to say it. Like, I knew how to write it, but I didn't know how to come on a conversation like this and say it simply so that people would understand it. And until I could say it simply, I did not start going on podcasts because that's that would be a disaster for you if you asked me a question, I didn't know the answer to my own work, right? So, again, that was my evolution, right? To be able to embrace to really feel that I had mastered the teachings, because 'cause I'm that type of person, like, unless I truly understand it, I can't explain it to somebody else. And so that's what I had to work on. So I think I answered your question. I know I went a little places, but, I think I did.
Yes, you definitely did. And what I can get out of everything you said is that just to listen to your intuition, your mind, your body
Yes.
will tell you what is right for you, what is meant for
That's
you, what is
right.
not meant for you. And
Your
pretty much
intuition is your soul talking to you, right?
exactly.
That's what your intuition is. And so if you can learn to hear it and and m even more important, trust it. Like, the person I had the person who was ill, and one of the doctors said something. There were a lot of doctors this weekend saying lots of things, but there was one thing the doctor said that really resonated with me. Like, my whole body was vibrating based upon what he said, and out loud, I said, "Well, intuitively, I feel that's correct." Like, what do they don't care whether my intuition, but I was so excited that I really resonated with that, and I knew that was the answer because I really resonated with it. And so we're working on that. That's the direction we're going in, even though they said many, many, many things that made sense to this person and myself, that that was the direction we needed to go to for his health. Um, but yeah, so if I can say anything to everybody, this is not just about the spiritual path. That's what's beautiful about harmony. It is about all parts of your life, your relationships, your work, um, being creative, your health. There's a harmony path for health, right? How do you get to be well? That's what we're doing it here with this person, right? What is it? We really listened. We really used our awareness to hear what was the problem. And now we're gonna make the commitment to do it and master it and all of that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Robin, for sharing that. And everything that you've shared today in today's conversation has been really helpful to me as well. I'm sure our listeners will now want to listen more about you, maybe learn more from you. So if they want to do it, if they want to bring harmony into their life, how can they connect with you? Please.
Yes, I would say just, the easiest is to go to my website, which is, Robin H. Clare, CLARE.com, or Harmony with Robin. Either one will get you to me.
Great. So I'll have all the details on my show listing, and our listeners can feel free to connect with you. So, thank you so much, Robin, for this delightful conversation. And dear listeners, this conversation reminds us that harmony isn't a luxury, it's a way of reclaiming ourselves from the noise of the world. If today's insights from Robin sparked something in you, take a small step, any step towards aligning who you are with how you live. Let your inner truth guide your outer purpose and allow your life to become a steady expression of clarity, peace, and intention.